So my chat was telling me that we can actually take a look at Yuno in-game right now, so I kind of want to go over that and check her out. So apparently she's in the gallery. If you go in there, you go to Crossing Stars right now. I lost. Dude, she's so pretty. Oh my God, I didn't mean to do that. I swear I didn't mean to do that. I swear that was not my goal. That was not my goal. I was just trying to check out like the full model all around. It shows us her, wait, does it actually show the entire kit? Does it show like scalings and things? Oh my God. Oh, that's so cute. Chat, she's so pretty. I think it's over for me. Okay, let me go ahead and read through this before I say anything. So in combat roles, they have her listed as a support and healer, concerto efficiency, resonance liberation damage, and heavy attack damage amplification. So she's like a sub healer that is also a sub DPS that provides heavy attack amp and healing. And apparently she's quick to get on and off the field. So that is interesting because we have not too many like super quick options. Like Sanhua is what I think of when I think of like a quick option for on and off the field. I feel like Mortefy's also pretty quick as well. So I wonder if she's gonna be as fast as them.
One eternity later.
Okay, so now I've read the whole kit. Basically, it looks like she has 2 states, and she's going to, even though she has 2 states, if you're going to be using her as a support, you're just going to fulfill a normal rotation where you're going to press some buttons in a certain order, and it's going to give your team some healing while also dishing out a little bit of damage before you swap off to Augusta or to Gian, which is who she's meant to be played with. Right now, I actually do see a pretty big problem. At the moment, it looks like she is a healer shielder, but the shield only applies to her, and the shield is a big part of her buffs. So either they've worded something incorrectly here, or maybe something's been overlooked, but they definitely shouldn't let this go through to live without giving some kind of shield. So basically the reason I say that is because we go over to our Forte circuit, right? We look here, Blessing of the One Light. So the receiving resonator gets 4% all damage amp for 10 seconds, stacking up to 10 times. Gaining new stacks resets the duration. Effect ends early if the receiving resonator is switched off the field. So basically if you switch off your character with shields active, you lose this effect. That doesn't matter. What I'm looking at is this 10 stacks with 4% damage amp. This means you can get 40% all damage amp with her if you play a character that can stack shields and stack up to 10 of them. But at the moment in the game, there's only one character that's stacking up 10 shields within the amount of time requested by this, and it's Augusta. I know Brant can stack up some shields. I don't think it's this fast, and I don't think it's this many. Honestly, I don't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to look into it more, and I will for the guide. But for now, this looks hyper specific to Augusta. And I think that's actually a huge problem in the design, to where now this is a character you only pull if 1, you like the way she looks, which everyone does, or 2, you play Gian or Augusta. And even Gian, it's kind of like, you probably still don't even need to do that, right? Because there's other heavy attack amplifiers. There's no 50% ones, but there are ones. Now, she does give herself shields, and that is something that that chat pointed out. And yes, she does, but the thing is, her damage, I'm gonna have to look into this more, but I don't think that her damage is going to be like so significant that you can like play her on-field main DPS and she'll get as much value as someone like Brant or Cheng-Li or anything like that. I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, because if she ends up being a Brant-like unit where like she can do pretty solid damage and you can play her hyper carry, then there's honestly not really any problems with it. But if she's a character that's meant to be strictly a support and she only works for like 2 characters, that's not too great. It is nice to have another healer in the game, and I think that that's pretty cool. She also scales on attack with her healing, and I think that's something that people will really like, because okay, that means we get to do a little bit of damage, right? But even then, I don't know how much damage it's gonna be. She's gonna have to really be dishing it out if we want her to be viable without Augusta Gian as like a replacement for other characters. Otherwise, she's just going to be probably not even a side grade. She's probably just gonna be a downgrade, right? So let's check this out. Here's the damage showcase, or the character showcase that they did. So this is entering the, this is using your flux ability. This will be on your space bar. I'm pretty sure this is gonna put her into New Moon, where she's going to be on the bow. And with her bow, she's going to be able to dish out a bunch of damage. It looks like she'll be able to handle AoE pretty well, especially because she's Sniffa. She's going to be hitting like multiple, like kind of like a line of enemies, right? So she is going to be able to dish out some damage in her standard rotation, and that's how you're going to play her, like most other supports. Like even Shorekeeper is sitting there on field attacking enemies, right? There's not many characters you literally like, you're on them, you press EQ and you swap. You're usually going to have to attack for some amount of time. So hopefully she does some damage, but right now I think that I'm actually a little bit disappointed with how her kit looks at S0, because her kit at S0 seems like she's hyper connected to Augusta. And she works with Gia. I don't know, because it's so heavy attack focused and not like arrow focused, it becomes a lot more restrictive. I think it's also a bummer because a lot of I'm gonna probably say something that a lot of people are gonna disagree with, but listen, guys, I think that most people are more interested in Yuno than Augusta. I think a lot of people are kind of hyped for Augusta. They think she's cool to play, and I agree. I think she's super dope, right? But a lot more people are excited to pull for Yuno because she looks like a lot more maybe interesting of a character, maybe visually, maybe in the story, and also for a lot of people, this is the fake collab that we didn't get with the other games. So realistically, I think a lot more people are interested in this character, and it's kind of a bummer to see that, like, okay, if you don't have Augusta or Gian, like, there's not a reason to pull her at S0 in my opinion. At least from this kit that I'm reading now, but of course, this is like my first preliminary impressions of it. I don't actually know 100% how that's gonna be. Okay, so there are some sequences that can help, but unfortunately, none of them fix her primary problem. And this is actually something I hope they address before she launches. I think they should give her an ability to shield allies at S0 and consistently stack shields. The way she's able to stack shields on herself and the way that Augusta is able to stack shields on herself. She should be able to shield allies. They could be weak as hell, but she should be able to apply them to allies. And I think if they added that in her base kit, that would be great. But honestly, this S2 is kind of useless if you're not playing Augusta or her as a main damage dealer. So if they wanted a place to shoot it in, they could throw it at S2 as well. And that would just make sense from like a gacha game dev standpoint. Like I'm playing the devil's advocate because obviously I don't want it locked behind an idle or a sequence node. But like if I'm gonna play devil's advocate and I'm gonna put myself in the shoes of a gacha dev company, like I would put it at S2, right? Because I would make it so like your shields now can be passed on to other resonators, or like other resonators can now gain shields while in your domain, and it gets this effect because now everyone's getting a massive damage amp. But otherwise, only she and only Augusta are getting damage amp like that, unless the other characters upcoming, which this could be a thing, maybe upcoming characters will also have a self-shielding mechanic. Who's the hot blue raspberry chick on screen? Okay. So here's the thing. When Yuno is inside the full moon domain, she also gets 1 point of resonance energy per second. That's kind of nice. The 40% attack buff is really big, and you have immunity to interruption. I think that's also big. S2 is going to be a huge damage buff for her and for Augusta, but remember, her damage is less than Augusta's, so the value that she gets out of this is a little bit less. If you give 40% to someone with 100,000 damage and 40% to someone with 10,000 damage, obviously the 100,000 damage one's going to be bigger, right? But with that said, like, it's still going to be helpful. Going on to S3, you get a bunch of damage amp on Yuno's attacks, which is pretty cool. I think basically her sequences are meant to make her a main DPS, which I think is what they're hoping people pull for. Now, this one is interesting. This S4 is going to give a shield equal to Yuno's portion of Yuno's attack to all resonators in the team for 30 seconds, and it can't be passed on to the incoming resonator. So my understanding of that is that every character gets the shield, but you don't like stack the shield. So like any shield that you have on that character does not go to the next one. It's just every character individually has their own. I think this could also be a place to put in the stacking mechanic, but I don't know. For some reason, they're just not putting it in. S5 is a resonance liberation damage bonus for Yuno, 20%. It's pretty big, but not that big. It's just that if you're already at S4, you're probably going to go all the way to S6. So S6 is a ridiculous multiplier increase. The multiplier at level 1 is 80. I'm going to be generous. I'm going to say, let's say the multiplier for this skill it's talking about, the heavy attack, is 400 at level 10, which it's not, right? There's no way. But let's say it gets up to 400. Even then, this would be multiplying the damage done by 5 times, right? So that's crazy. And then it also lets you stay in your DPS phase longer. New Moon is going to be your DPS phase, and you get 100 points of sentience back whenever you use that skill. So this is what allows you to play full on-field uptime Yuno and get all of these buffs from the previous ones. They should make her damage pretty dang strong. So, I mean, you know, for those of you guys who are already going to swipe for her, this doesn't really make a difference for you. Just know that, yeah, you can play DPS Yuno with copies. I don't know how much stronger she'll be with something like S2, so I will have calculations for that in my guide video if you guys want to know exactly how many you need to pull to make her DPS. Going back to just kind of her kit overall, I think my biggest issue is that even though she's one of the cooler characters that we have, and it seems like she has a couple different, like, I don't want to say play styles, but she has a couple different roles that she can play, especially if you get sequences. I think the biggest issue is that right now, I highly doubt that her damage is going to be enough to make her worth playing as like a sub DPS in any team that's not Gian or Augusta's team. And I think the other problem is that right now she gives shields, which works in tandem with her own buffs, but she only gives shield to herself. And then the only character that's able to take advantage of the buffs who's not her right now in the game is Augusta. And I kind of feel like that's highly limiting to the point where it might actually turn some people away from wanting to pull for her. The heavy attack damage amp is nice. I like it. But I'm really, really hopeful that they're going to add in maybe to one of her passives, maybe this one. This would probably be the best place to put it in, honestly. Make it so that the character that's in her domain can stack up shields once every like 3 seconds or something. So maybe they can't take full use of it versus Augusta. Maybe Augusta gets the full value value, and the other characters, you get 1 shield every 3 seconds. So in their field time, let's say that your main DPS is coming on field and they're only on field for like 12 seconds, at least you get like 16% damage amp from it, right? And it's not completely useless. Right now, this makes it so that Yuno can get like a ton of stacks of her own buff, but you know, not a lot of other characters are going to have that opportunity, and I think that makes her pretty limited. So am I still gonna pull her? Yes. Am I gonna pull S6? Well, you guys saw my tweet. All right, I think the weapon's in the game too, yeah? Yes, it is. All right, let's check it out. Plenilune Radiance increases attack by 12%. It's a crit rate weapon, okay. Casting Intro Skill or Resonance Liberation increases Resonance Liberation damage by 20% for 15 seconds. Obtaining Shield allows Resonance Liberation damage to ignore 7.2% of the target's defense for 7 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. This effect is triggered once every 0.5 seconds. Upon casting Intro Skill, this effect reaches max stacks immediately. Okay, so when you cast Intro Skill, you just ignore a bunch of defense. Yeah, I think that if you want to play Yuno and have her deal like a significant amount of damage and have her be usable in other teams and like still bring a decent amount of value, not including Gian, not including like Augusta, you probably do want this. Which is, again, I think it's kind of like a bummer because obviously they're gonna want to lock like some damage behind the weapons, right? And no secrets there, right? But I do feel like she has this whole mechanic that's kind of cool that involves buffing characters based on them gaining shields, but there's no characters that can take advantage of it. And I was really hoping there was something that was gonna change that, but it's really just Augusta and Gian who are getting or Gian's not even getting the shield effect. Gian's just getting the outro. It's just Augusta that's getting the shield effect and the outro. It is a really pretty weapon though. So if Yuno does enough damage to justify putting her in a team over another sub DPS, even if she doesn't have a good outro skill, then that could be one thing that could be like, okay, maybe it's justified that she doesn't give the shields, but I do feel like you're just kind of wasting a mechanic there, right? Like personally, I would just rather her give shields that are like kind of weak, give them slowly and just slightly buff the next character. That way we can justify pulling her for more general use accounts that don't have Gian, that don't have Augusta. I do have Gian, by the way, guys. I'm totally unbiased. I don't even use this guy. I don't even use this guy. I have this guy. I could get Yuno and play him with him and it would be fine. I skipped Augusta because I'm saving for Yuno, but yeah, I just wish she was more general. That's all. But we'll see what happens. I'm not trying to doom the character. I'm just saying I really hope they change that because I think that would be really beneficial. Yanmu about to go crazy with her weapon. Yeah, Discord mod's gonna go hard here. I need to hear Yuno's JP voice, guys. It's like, it's close. It's, you know, it's not Rin, but they knew what they wanted. They'd already used the Rin VA, so they had to pull out something close to it. How Rover met Yuno in another universe. Is this Fate Grand Order?
じゃあまずは私にひざまずいて足の甲に口づけしてくれる？私一応サーバントだからちゃんと契約したいじゃない？
Dude. That's true. That's how that happened.